Hello and welcome to UK Games Expo for our next chat. With me today, I have the lovely Richard Lee Byers. If you are new to the stream, hi, I'm Anjuli. I'm the Marketing and Publicity Manager for Aconite Books. You'll see my face a lot over the weekend. Sorry about that. Richard, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm a fantasy and horror fiction writer mainly. I've done a lot of Forgotten Realms books. People might know me from those. And my forthcoming book from Aconite is a Marvel Legends of Asgard novel called The Head of Mimir, which I believe is scheduled for early October.
It is indeed, yeah. October in the US and November in the UK. So if you're watching from the UK, and if you're not familiar with it, this is what it looks like. Ooh, I love this cover so much. It's so beautiful.
If there's ever a cover that said heroic fantasy, I think this is
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I really love it. Me and Mark, Nick did a talk when we released it on Facebook to talk about this one and sort of the process from going from an idea to the finished example. People can catch that on Facebook. It's still there. It was a really interesting talk, actually, just to see how it went from one to the other.
But I can vouch for that. I watched it. It was very interesting.
Ah, yay! But we're here today to talk all things Marvel. And Aconite have been very lucky in picking up the Marvel IP, and we're creating new stories in our own Marvel universe, as it were. Following some of the canon, some of the lore that's already been set out by Marvel, but creating our own new stories as well. Which is why I have you here today to talk about the book. Yay! Right. So can you tell us just a little bit about it before we jump into any questions?
Yeah, I wanted to tell the story of Heimdall's early days and kind of how he starts aging into the character we know from Marvel stories in terms of acquiring the various powers he has and the magical gear that he has, and of course the personality that he has. And this book is kind of the first step in that process. We see him as a young warrior, freshly come from Vanaheim to Asgard and thrust into the middle of a terrible crisis, which he and his sister Sif have to try to resolve.
Excellent. I'm really excited for this one. I really love Norse mythology. I think it's really exciting, and I like that we're looking a little bit at origin stories for someone that, like, if you're a fan of the Marvel Marvel movies, that you sort of know, but not. You don't learn a lot about him. So I'm really excited to see what you've created for an origin story for him.
Yeah, that's kind of my impression as well, that he's a pretty big deal in Norse mythology and a reasonably prominent character even in Marvel's version of Norse mythology. But I can't say that I've read every single Marvel comic ever published, but I had not really run across very much at all about his origin. So I thought that would be, fertile ground for a story.
Yeah, definitely. And as the first one in this series as well, it's nice to start with an origin story. I'm not sure where the rest of the series is going to go, but it's nice to start first book with a first look at someone.
Right.
Sits very well. So I have a few questions for you, and I'm hoping that the viewers in chat will have some for you as well. My first question is, you've written a lot of books for the Forgotten Realms as well as other fandoms. How have those experiences of writing in a pre-established world helped you to create a story within the Marvel universe?
Well, first I found out that I'm very comfortable doing it. That there's some writers who are horrified by the kind of high level of collaboration that's involved, and the fact that somebody can come back and say, no, somebody else is already using that character. You can't use that character, or we've already got a book set in such and such a kingdom coming out next year, so you can't write this. You can't write this pitch, and it's so that was so that none of that really bothers me, so that's good. And beyond that, you kind of learn a lot of rules about what the things that you can't do in a shared world book. That's you can't radically change the status quo unless the kind of the people that own the IP have decided that it should change, and that you're the guy that should write the book that would do it, which happens rarely. So I wasn't going to have Asgard destroyed, or
That's already happened.
Spoiler
alert.
The world tree fall or whatever. I mean, it's not, that I don't think I'm giving away too many spoilers to say it's not that kind of book. It's not called Ragnarok or anything.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So is it? I imagine it's a very different sort of writing skill to have to be able to write in in tie-in fiction, as it were, rather than your own sort of world and creation. Is it easier because that world has already been built?
I don't know. I think that it's I think that where the difference comes in is is deciding what the story is going to be. Like I said, you have to know that in the shared world story, there are certain things you can't do, which are often, until you've done this for a while, they're the things that you're immediately attracted to doing. Like a lot of shared worlds are built on kind of a fundamental conflict or a fundamental mystery. And your first impulse might be to say, well, darn it, I'm going to resolve that and it'll be a great story. But you can't do that because it uses up the IP, basically.
Yeah.
So you have to go beyond that and think of something else. But I think that once you're actually have an outline approved or whatever, and you're writing, that it feels the same. It feels the same to me. I mean, you have to respect what's already been done, but you also, there's another level where you have to feel like when you're writing the story, okay, this character is my character now, and I'm going to try to get inside him the same way I would with any character that I created wholly from scratch.
Yeah. So I'm not a writer, so I don't know the process at all. But I feel like I would be quite nervous writing in an IP that is as big as Marvel is, because there are some the fandom for that is so huge, and there are some people who have been reading them since comic book one and are in love with a character from this particular universe that goes in this particular way. Are you at all worried about taking a character in a different direction that's allowed, that into how the fans might react to, and not just in Marvel, but in the Forgotten Realms or any of the other fandoms?
You can't really worry about that, I don't think. I mean, you just have to. I mean, you have to do your best and hope that it comes across as valid. And you do have editors backstopping you if you say you've really gone off track, and this character this character reaction feels wrong at this point in the story. The way that you're describing this character feels wrong at this point in the story, and then you can kind of reel it back. Which happened, I have to say, happened a couple times with this book. There were a couple, when I turned in my first draft, Lottie, my excellent editor at Aconites, kind of said, there's a couple things here that we should change, and we did change them. And then it went over to Marvel for final approval, and they came back and said, well, there's a couple things here we're not crazy about, and I changed those too. So I hope that since all those people had my back, that the finished product will ring true.
Yeah, and I mean that's a good point. We want it to be good. Marvel want it to be good. So I know that Lottie, she's very passionate about all of the books that come our way, because at the moment she's the only person editing them. So she's doing all the books, and she loves all the books like her baby.
Really good.
She wants them all to be.
Yeah, she like I said, she she caught things that she felt were not right, and she wasn't, and she was forthright about telling me those things. I once worked out the kind of 5 stages of responding to editorial feedback. It was kind of like the 5 stages of Kubler-Ross. And then, like I said, I have to think. Let's see if I can remember. But like the first one is, I'm offended. Don't these people realize I'm a genius? And the second one is, well, I can at least look at these changes again. And the third one is, well, some of these changes won't really hurt the book. And I'll make the fourth one is, well, some of these changes might actually help the book, and I'll make those. And the fifth one is, given a little more time, I would have thought of all this stuff myself.
Yeah, they seem like accurate stages. So we have a question from the chat. Very exciting. So James asks, do you see this book as primarily aimed at die-hard comic fans, or Marvel Comic Universe fans, Norse mythology buffs, or is it a bit for everyone?
I guess it's a bit for everyone. I was trying to write a book that would please Marvel fans, and that would also please all the people that have read and enjoyed my various sword and sorcery stories. And I was also trying to, without, getting away from all the stuff that Marvel has done, where I could work in, kind of some real Norse mythology or details of Viking life and things like that, kind of don't really come up in the comics, like when they're in the forest or wherever, and they see a certain wild edible berry growing. That's something that you can really find growing in the forests of Scandinavia, and stuff like that. I just tried to I just tried to be as true to to what Scandinavia is really like, and what what Viking life was really like, but within the context of this grand and glorious Marvel fantasy universe. So I don't know if anybody will even kind of notice those touches, but they're kind of scattered throughout.
Yeah, well, I think that's important to add just that little bit of realism to the fantasy. Helps to sort of make it more real.
Right.
It would feel more real rather than just high fantasy. Oh, you're like, oh, this could happen. This is exciting. And I think those little touches are important. Personally, for me as a reader and not a writer at all.
Yeah, I think that for a writer, they definitely they definitely make it feel like it's more your book, and you're more immersed in the story. I mean, it's very easy to write something that just has the kind of the tropes of a particular genre, but nothing more. And I think that for both the writer and the reader, that kind of keeps you on a superficial level. It's the little details, often the realistic details, that kind of really pull you deeper. And if you're a writer, it help you do your best work, and if you're the reader, enjoy the story the most.
Yeah. Okay, so this story is set in Asgard, which is one of the 10 realms from the Marvel Norse mythology universe. And this story is sort of an epic quest, a sort of Dungeons and Dragons-esque quest across some of those realms. What realms, without giving too much away, what realms are we expecting to see, and which ones were your favorite for writing in? And where would you like to visit if you didn't write about it this time?
Okay, well, it starts out in Asgard, and kind of moves on to, well, I guess Jotunheim mainly. We see some other realms kind of in passing. I would ideally, I would like to make this book the first book in a trilogy, and that's not contracted for or scheduled or anything yet, but that's what I want to. I've got, like I said, this shows Heimdall taking his first step towards becoming the character that we know from Marvel, the Sentinel, the Bifrost. But doesn't get him all the way there. I'd like to get him all the way there, and I could do that over 3 books. I'd like to go to maybe ideally all the realms in the course of 3 books. I'd like to go to particularly, I think, ones that are kind of more complicated, and because I mean, like the realm of the fire, demons. It's just kind of, and the fire giants. It's kind of a straightforward place. It's fun, but places like Vanaheim and Nidavellir, the realm of the dwarves, are both places that have more complexity to them, and also I think places that we haven't really seen that much of. We saw them in Jason Aaron's big War of the Realms story that ran in Thor and was excellent. And but at that point, he was mainly concerned with kind of setting them on fire and blowing them up. I would kind of like to show them when things aren't going quite that badly, at least at first, and you get more of a sense of what they're like normally.
Yeah, that would be fun. I would like to see more Adventures of Heimdall going through the 10 realms. That would be very exciting. I would enjoy that a lot.
I've turned them through pitch for book 2, and I'm waiting to hear back. And Lottie knows in very, very general terms what I want to do in book 3. So we'll see if it's all greenlit. Hope so. I would love to continue.
That'd be very, very cool. Is Heimdall your favorite Marvel character, or who would you say is your top Marvel character if you were allowed to write about any of the characters?
Oh, well, that's it's tough. My favorite character to some degree depends on which comic I think is running just absolutely great stories at that point in time. I guess I'm a little bit fickle in that way. But certainly, Thor is a great character, and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and the Thing from the Fantastic Four, Hawkeye. Those are all characters that I really, really enjoy. But I mean, there's so many. Marvel has such a deep bench. It's like, and certainly Heimdall. Now that I've done 1 book about him, it's like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. There's a lot more to be done with him.
And there's so many sort of lesser characters that we're trying to pick up on with the Marvel Heroines series. Is sort of looking at the not lesser female, but the female characters that are not as well known. I only know Marvel through the films because I'm not a comic book person, so I only know what Marvel already showed me in the films.
Right.
But reading through some of the pictures from people and the names that sort of pop up, I have to do a lot of research afterwards. I'm like, I don't know who this person is. I've never heard this. But I'm excited to learn more from this series as well.
Yeah, it's definitely true that Marvel has a incredibly deep bench of interesting characters. I've turned in a lot of ideas, and it's been pretty easy really to come up with ones that I think are interesting because I have because there are so many characters, and some of them I think probably obviously they won't all get taken, but I mean there's some that I would really enjoy doing. As far as you mentioned the female characters, I turned in one for Clea. I don't know if she's available, but I turned in one for Hela, which could be like Magic Marvel or Marvel Heroines or
or the Untolds that we've got.
Or it could be another Marvel Legends of Asgard, of course.
Yeah,
and turned in ones for Michael Morbius and Damon Hellstrom and Namor, and I never even particularly liked Namor, but I thought of a guy for it, and I thought, yeah, this would be cool.
Oh, I'd like a Hela one. Do a Hela one. That would be, I would enjoy that a lot.
Yeah.
I only know her from the field for Ragnarok, but it's like, kick my shit. Nice. Yep. That would be
Yeah, well, this would be kind of, I guess, the at least the anti-hero Hela, since she'd be the focus of the
yeah,
book. I mean, it's like, well, I mean, that's the thing about gods, right? I mean, they're certainly kind of, gods that rule over sort of a dark domain. Is they can be heroic or villainous depending on their how they're reacting to whatever situation you set up for them.
yeah.
And so
I
I would do Hela as uh, definitely an anti-hero, but
yeah.
heroic in the context of that the story would show her.
That'd be really good for the Marvel Untold series. Like the first one we've got is like Doctor Doom, sort of like a villain you love to hate, but also love. And I think Hela would fit in really well with that as well. That sort of darker side to it.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Doom's a great character. I'm looking forward to reading that book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been talking to David Annandale about that one, and he's very excited. It's going to be very good.
I turned in a Doom idea too. I've turned in so many ideas, but he got to Doom ahead of me. So if he keeps doing Doom books, I don't guess that one will get done. But
that would be good. I'm really excited for a whole range of the Marvel books, to be honest. Like, I'm looking forward to learning about these characters from a complete like novice standpoint. I know that like everyone that's pitched in and everyone that's writing one at the moment is like a huge Marvel fan, and so I'm looking forward to seeing these like books told about the thing that someone like is really passionate about, and that sort of fandom. I'm very excited to learn about the characters.
well, one of the tricks to doing a good tie-in book, like you mentioned earlier, is I think is that it honors everything that's in the IP, but anybody can pick it up and read it and enjoy it as their first exposure to that universe. It's also able to stand on its own. I'm sure that all these books are done that way because of the really good roster of writers you've collected. So you should have you and everyone should have no trouble jumping into it, and even if they're not Marvel fans.
I was going to say Head of Mimir as well. If anyone is watching who is a Marvel blogger or reviewer or has a Marvel podcast, Head of Mimir is available on NetGalley to request for a review. It was put on Monday, so it's not been out very long. If you are watching and you think, oh, that'd be awesome, you just need to go to NetGalley. It's a free account. Just put in the name of your podcast or your blog so that we can go and check it, and then we can set up that Marvel Head of Mimir for you to have a read and a review of. So that's very exciting. That's going to be there until I think mid-September. So it will go down a couple of weeks before release. But yeah, if anyone out there is a reviewer, please do request it because it's there and ready for you, which is very exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's on my Kindle at the moment, ready to. As soon as I finish the book I'm on, it's the next one on my list. I'm super excited for these. Yay! Oh, what else are you working on at the moment?
Right at the moment, I'm doing I'm actually writing a piece of short fiction. I was actually where the project is to take a story from the Brothers Grimm and figure out a way to spin it and tell it anew. So I'm working on that. A book that's already, of course, written and everything is in the can. Is I have a book coming out from Nasaba Press, which is Green Ronan's fiction imprint, which is also a superhero tie-in because it ties into their Mutants and Masterminds game, and that book is called "The Doom That Came to San Francisco,"
Ooh.
and it comes out at the end of October.
Ah, pretty
So,
cool. Is that US date October? Is that everywhere October?
Yeah, I only know what they told me for
Okay.
USA, I guess. So I don't know. I apologize for not knowing international.
No, it's right. I just throw that at you, a random question. I mean, they might come out at the same time. It's just,
Yeah.
I know that we're a month behind because obviously our printers and our warehouses are in the States.
Right.
So after they've been printed, they have to then come over here. So we put them a month behind, so that we've definitely got them. For the
Yeah, beyond that, at this point, I don't absolutely know what I'm doing next. I mean, I've talked to a couple people about things and who haven't really, we haven't really solidified plans yet. I'm certainly, if another Aconite Marvel book of, is pitch is approved, I'm certainly, yeah, let's do that.
Amazing. James asks, do you have any tips for people looking to get into writing this type of tie-in fiction as opposed to just writing in general?
Well, I think that, in all honesty, I'm going to preface this by saying that I've been doing this stuff a long time. And it's possible that things that I would say were true decades ago and might not be the greatest advice or that somebody could have now in this kind of the age of the internet and everything. But I'll tell you what I think, and which is that it helps a lot to have some kind of a track record as a published fiction writer before you start approaching editors and publishers about doing tie-ins, because that's who they will tend to pick, somebody that has demonstrated that they can turn in a publishable book on deadline already. And so you don't, much as you might love a particular IP, shared world, don't focus your attention exclusively on that. You can certainly try for them. You can reach out to the editors, meet them at conventions, email them, whatever, and kind of offer yourself up. But create your own body of work also, and even when you are trying to get into shared worlds, don't fixate on just one of them. I'm going to be a Star Trek writer, or I'm not going to write it. All that's not the way to do it. Also, as I mentioned earlier, be aware that you'll probably have to come up with multiple pitches to have a good chance of having one taken, and there will be reasons that extend beyond the merit of your idea for why something might get picked up or not get picked up, or they might require certain changes, and you have to be really flexible and collaborative about that.
I imagine you have to have a bit of a thick skin as well, like you were saying earlier, with people coming back to saying, I like this part of the pitch, but you need to change this and you need to change this. And if your heart is sort of set on that one thing, if you get upset by them wanting to change that thing, then you're not going to be able to do that pitch at all. It's not going to be something that you're going to be able to convince someone to go with your idea against their own idea of their own IP. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think if you're a fiction writer, you kind of have to have a thick skin generally, to cope with rejection, or at least it sure helps. But you may need even a thicker skin to do the shared world writing for sure.
So Josh asks, so in regards to the Head of Mimir, will this be fantastical or more grounded? Would love to see this expand the story of Hell.
It's pretty fantastical. I mean, it's. I try to as I mentioned earlier, I try to keep things kind of grounded in the sense that people get tired, people get hungry. There's certain realities of sword fighting and things like that, and even if you're a Asgardian as opposed to a mere mortal, things that you limits on things that you can do. But it's fantastical in terms of all the places it goes and all the creatures that we meet, and it's as far as seeing the story of Hell expanded. I mentioned that it's turned into an idea for a Hell novel. Hell doesn't really come into this one. It might come into the third one, or maybe someday I'll get approved to do that Hella book, and then you would then you would you'd obviously see a lot of hell. But as the trilogy continues, I'm gonna take my best shot at checking in everywhere, because I think that would be a really cool
Yeah,
aspect of the trilogy if we went to all the worlds before it was
yeah,
done.
that would be really cool. I would like to see that as well.
Yeah,
Very
I
much,
should
as I've
mention
already
again,
said.
at this point, books 2 and 3 are just ideas I've turned in. They aren't ideas that have
Yes.
been approved. So don't you know, don't come back
Currently just
here and say those
dreams.
books never come out. Well, yeah, that was. But this story stands by itself. I should mention that too. If we never get to do another Heimdall book, you do a good complete story in this one. I don't leave you hanging with some big cliffhanger to be continued.
9 years time when you finally get the okay for the second one. Oh, that would be sad. I'm sorry, I jinxed that. She says, "Woohoo! I'll be reading this. Yay!" That is good to know, Josh. Yes, you can pre-order it on Amazon. If you're in the US, you can pre-order it from Barnes and Noble. You can, if you're in the UK, you can pre-order it from Waterstones. It's available everywhere for pre-order now. And as I said, if you're a reviewer, you can get it from NetGalley. Just let me know where you are reviewing or blogging, so I can just check out your reviews before I tick that approve button. So Josh also asked, how many books do you see in this series? We've sort of hinted at the idea that there could be a trilogy, but at the moment, for this particular one, it's a one standalone. However, the Legends of Asgard as a series will go on for as long as Marvel allows us to keep going on. We have another one out later in 2021 set in Asgard as well. But yeah, we're hoping it would be really cool if this could be like a 3-parter, but it is its own standalone book at the moment. Yeah, and the series is just, many stories from other authors as well, as we just expand different parts. If you're unaware of the other strands that we have for Marvel, we have Marvel Heroines, which, as I said, looks at female characters that maybe have been forgotten or haven't really had their day in the sun, and we're going to celebrate them. We have our Marvel Untold, which focuses on untold or retellings of stories of fan favorites, whether they are the goodies or the baddies, with our first one being the Heroine of Doom, which is our Doctor Doom one. We also have oh no, my mind has gone blank. The Xavier's Institute. So we're looking at the X-Men during, so sort of younger X-Men. We're not allowed to play with the big X-Men crew yet, but some of the younger ones, sort of their experiences growing up in Xavier's Institute, sort of coming into their powers, getting into trouble and things like that. So there are 4 strands. Maybe we have some more strands that we'll be announcing next year, maybe. Who knows? Marvel are really happy with everything we've produced so far. We get lots of really lovely feedback from them in regards to the finished books when they get sent in. And they're very, very happy with everything that we're producing. So I think you'll see a lot of Marvel. You just got to buy it. Make sure that you buy it. If you don't buy it, Marvel will stop us. But
buy a copy for every room in your house.
Exactly. Exactly. Buy a copy for everyone that you know, and then they can buy one for everyone they know. And before you know it, you'll have 10 copies of this book each, but we'll be happy. So, yay. Fingers crossed for Armor in the Young X-Men series. I don't know. So again, I don't know any of the X-Men apart from Wolverine and anyone that the movies tell me about.
I know that when the thing went out to get pitches, Armor was one of the characters that was listed as someone that was available for a novel, and so there might be one along eventually. I know that he's up for grabs if somebody comes up with a good idea for him.
You heard it here first, Jace. Why don't you write it? Send us in that Armor pitch. Then I can learn who Armor is through the story. because I don't know who anyone is ever. Right. Has anyone got any more questions while we're here? I only had a few and I've run out of them. I'm great like that. Do you have anything that you want to tell about the book at all, Richard? Any anecdotes about writing it or?
I would definitely I've kind of said things that I tried to draw on real Norse things as well as Marvel, and kind of all the stuff I've learned from writing a bunch of heroic fantasy over the years. It drew a little bit on my trip to Ireland that I made last year, because of course, Ireland had big influx of Vikings and Viking culture at one point, and I learned some things there going to the various museums and whatnot that infused the book.
Oh, that's nice. I like to hear that you've used your travels to help influence it. That's
it was so great. I hadn't been out of the country in a number of years, and I went to Ireland and I loved it. And I said, I'm never gonna go like a year without getting out of the country again, because international travel was so great. And then coronavirus. Hopefully this will pass and eventually I'll be traveling again.
Yeah, maybe, hopefully next year. I'd really like it if it could be next year. I'd like to go to Gen Con. This year was going to be my first year at Gen Con, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, we do Gen Con every year, so if you come, we'll have to get together.
Yeah, definitely. Like we were going to do like a big launch, obviously, because the books were coming out at the same time.
That was, you were going to do it, but then it couldn't.
Yeah, we were going to have a big party. It was going to be so much fun. We were going to throw all our money into it. It was going to be the best, and that's not happening. So hopefully,
so gloriously successful that you'll want to do all that stuff next year, even though it, in a sense, be kind of a year late.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be like that was our birth. This will be our first birthday.
Great, okay.
So we can have a big birthday party then. Although we'll be like 3 technically, because we've been around in the background making things for like 2 years, something crazy like that.
Right.
I can't believe that I've been with the company for like 8 months now.
Oh.
So I joined in January and then was in the office for 6 weeks and then got locked down.
Well, you hit the ground running. I'm impressed by all the great stuff you're doing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm lucky because I used to work in a bookshop. I used to run the events for my area for Waterstones, which is our big bookshop chain. So I had like some background knowledge of that, and because I also came from Asmodee and their purchasing team, I have a background knowledge of the processes and the people that you need to speak to and stuff. So I was good that I could just jump straight in and be like, right, I know who I need to talk to, I know what I want to do, and it's good. Like the team have just let me get on with things as well. Like this weekend, UK Games Expo is one of my favorite shows. I'm there normally I get there on the Wednesday, and then there's the Thursday previews, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday I'm there till up in the bar until 2 o'clock in the morning playing games and networking. And so I'm sad that I'm not doing that this weekend, but I really love this show. So I was glad that I was given the freedom to do this and to talk to people and to just have a bit of fun, even though I'm stuck in my living room on my own. Yeah. But yeah, next year it'd be great if we are able to travel and I can get to Gen Con, because I'm sure we can organize some great panels and some things like that for the Marvel for the Marvel novels, but also for other things as well. It'd be great. Yay. Well, that sort of feels like a natural sort of wrap up. It's about 40 minutes, so that's a good time. Thank you everyone in chat for your questions. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for popping along to this one. The next thing you will find me doing for UK Games Expo is my Keyforge, live play using the FFG Genesis system. So it's 6 o'clock on the Twitch, UK Games Expo Twitch channel. I will be taking our authors through a new story based around the anthology, and these authors will be playing the characters from the anthology, which is here. They'll be playing their characters from that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, Scott, hello, yay! It's going to be loads and loads of fun. It's very silly. We've only got 2 hours to do it in, so it might feel a bit rushed. I've already decided if we don't get to the end, we're just going to take it over to Facebook. So if you want to see the end of it, you're going to have to come to Facebook to watch it. But I can't wait for it. Everyone's very excited, and we're just going to have some fun and be a bit silly with it all. Thank you, Richard, for coming along and doing this very last minute for me. I really appreciate it.
It was fun, and thanks for everybody who watches.
Yay, perfect. Well, with that, let us say goodbye, and I will hopefully see you over on Twitch. We won't be answering questions on Twitch. Don't ask me questions. I'm going to be in the story, in the zone. I won't see them. But do come over to Facebook afterwards and ask us questions. Right. Well, bye, everyone.